Hello and welcome everybody to the altar. Today it is Max and Caparato. Less Max racist Max. Less Max's race. I'm totally sober right now, and you know me, Ben, based Heisenberg. Max has had his racism juice, so he's gonna do his best. And I had my racism vape juice, and I'm still having it. So, what are we gonna talk about tonight? I don't even know what's going on.
I want to apologize to everyone that they did not get my joke. They thought I was doing or not joke really. Um it's called a large hard-on collider, okay? And what it means is that you sword fight the prison ward in order to free one of the inmates, okay? That's what
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to do for
Okay.
Matt last week, okay?
And who won?
He I did not have a large heart on. I
Oh,
had a small heart on. It was chubby. It was cold.
yeah.
Surprising
It's a
little.
prison. I mean, it's probably not the best environment. Um,
Yeah.
you needed more Schwartz, bro.
I need more Schwartz, and it didn't work out. So I'm trying
So,
again
so Matt
soon.
is still in prison, and he's probably getting cornholed right now. Like it's like a 24/7 thing. It's like Schrodinger's cornhole. Just he is and is not getting cornholed at all times. I'm sure he
I
appreciates this
mean,
so much.
like he's only got one hole, and
Mm.
there's dozens and dozens of guys in there.
Yeah.
I
So
mean, your
that's
first go, it only takes a few seconds. Like it's a
Lord.
two-stroke, two-pump
Mm-hmm.
champs, right? But I mean, as time goes on, like I mean, you get used to the sensation and you get a
Mm-hmm.
little more tolerance, right? And so, um, they might be in there 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The average length of penetration for hetero couples is around 7 minutes. And obviously, like, there's probably a big set of outliers on either side of that. I'd really be curious. Why isn't our federal government collecting these numbers on prison average length of penetration? Because it's
Because
science. It's part of Pride. It's the history of
yeah,
this month.
we absolutely need to know the rate at which inmates fornicate, both with themselves and with security guards, which I'm sure happens way more than we think.
Oof. And but I'm not just talking about the rates of fornication. I'm talking about length of penetration.
An average time.
Um,
So
yeah,
hold on,
like
we're talking
what's
length
their
of
preferred
time or like the
style,
average depth of penetration?
depth? I want
All right,
everything.
yeah, we should probably know that because like deeper over more time versus
Follow
like
the
a
science,
exactly.
okay?
We need every measurement.
And how do they like to finish on the back, on the
Mm.
front, side, whatever they need.
Well, I know Matt never pulls out, so I'm sure he would encourage the same thing. So
It builds a connection.
it does.
The large intestine is a direct receptor, not only for alcohol and other drugs, but all of the hormones and
Oh,
other monkeypox, whatever that can be exchanged between two people or two members of a separate species, like chimps and
or
stuff.
well, true. Yes. Well, I was going to say Matt's clearly hanging out with his own species, considering the Aryan Brotherhood will not fuck anything that is not the same species. So I guess he's white enough for that.
I'm glad. I'm glad the Puerto Ricans got this honorary membership into the Aryan Brotherhood. It's good stuff. Good
It's
stuff.
very good stuff. So speaking of
So
getting fucked, the economy is not doing so hot.
you don't say. I've seen some very interesting things happening in the markets, and I don't know, like in my community. I have you noticed this too? Like the worker shortage has turned into more than just like a worker shortage. Like you think
Yeah.
people get into a position where like these like you do the math and say like okay you had a business plan like opening a restaurant, right? And you thought like, oh, I can serve this many tables with like a full staff. And then you maybe don't have a full staff, so maybe like you lean more on reservations or you cut back on services, like try and save some money. But then like if you just can't get anybody to work, which I don't get, where's the money coming from keeping these people alive? And then I go out and you go to the grocery store 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon, and it's just full
Yeah.
of people. And you're like, wait, don't you have jobs? Like I
I
know I'm sucking at the government or the taxpayer teat. And like I don't have a real job. It turns out nobody else has real jobs. Like what the fuck is going on
It
here?
really does seem that way. Like I usually have Mondays off, and like I love it because you go to the grocery store at like 1 o'clock on a Monday, and there's like normally nobody around because everybody's at work. But now it's like wherever you go, everybody's just always like out and available and not working, and I'm just like, where? There's no fucking stimulus checks. Like, are are these people just still like riding the unemployment wave from COVID? Is that what's going on? Like, did they extend that shit out?
I don't know. And like you can I think there's a lot of wonky people who are like, "Oh, you cannot afford an apartment on a minimum wage job in any city." It was like people have fucking roommates, right?
Yeah.
And so like that's the normal way to make that work, right? Like I lived in an extremely expensive city. I had four roommates, um, and it's fine. I pay as much then as I pay in my mortgage right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, not an expensive city, or relatively. And so, like, yeah, it works. You can make it work on a much lower income than a minimum wage based income. Like, I worked part time basically that whole time and didn't need full time job, so I could shit post on Tumblr
Which is
for
important.
eight,
Which
10
is
hours a
very
day
important.
is very important. And so, like, yeah, people are making it work in certain ways, but I also, like, at some point, people have to produce goods and provide services for each other.
You would think.
And like, it's not like Chinese slave laborers are personally in our grocery stores stocking the shelves and shit like that. Like, or, I mean, obviously, like, the restaurants have almost completely broken down in my town. Like there's nowhere you can go and get like actual good service anymore. Where like they don't like audibly complain as they're walking up and leaving the table to like take orders. I'm
Wow.
like, what the fuck? Like even at a nice place, like I took my dad came in last week, and fucking um the guy's like talking to the host, the waiter's talking to the host, like, like oh, that piece of shit, like something. I forget exactly what it was, but I'm just like, they don't even pretend at this point. They're just like,
That's
oh, we
great.
know we have staff, and we will bring your food in a reasonable amount of time.
And you're gonna
But
fucking eat it, and then you're gonna pay the fucking bill. Have a nice fucking night.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, sure.
so like I went to a restaurant the other day, and like they've switched to you order on your phone. Like you scan a QR code, takes you to a website, you order on your
Mm-mm.
fucking phone,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Can't do it.
and then they bring the food out to you. Like all they do, they're bussers. They're
Yeah.
not waiters. They're bussers. They just
Less of a reason
run
to
food
tip.
to and
They're
from
not
the kitchen.
waiters. They're not wait staff. They're bussers.
Um, and like I get okay. Can you respect a good Reuben sandwich? Do you throw down on Reuben?
Come on. Come on. Do I
Okay.
respect a good Reuben sandwich? Do I
describe
have
to me
do I
your
have a
ultimate
circumcision
Reuben
scar?
sandwich.
Yes. Ultimate Reuben sandwich. Huh? All right.
Yeah, describe to me your favorite Reuben.
So you need a good like a dark rye, or at the very least like kind of like a medium dark rye, and you're not supposed to inhale what you drink. You also need, of course, you need a really good. So honestly, pastrami Reuben is really hard to beat, but you need a specific kind of pastrami that's found in southern New York, specifically that's been seasoned with southern New York air pollution. It's very important that the meat is allowed to, take that in. Get that on some good bread, some good
The
Thousand
dark
Island
rye.
dressing, huh?
The
Yeah,
dark
dark
rye. Yeah.
the dark rye. Yes. Also, you need good cheese. Swiss, obviously. Swiss is good. You don't have to use Swiss, though, but something white-ish is usually good for a good Reuben sandwich. You don't want it to be too greasy, because a lot of rye breads, when you toast them especially, they get a little thin. So you don't want it to get too greasy. But you want to stack that shit like this high, at least. You need to be able to get your mouth around the sandwich, but at the same time, you need to not be a little bitch. Like, this is not the time to bring anything other than A plus throat goat game for this Reuben sandwich.
No hesitation. Yeah.
No hesitation whatsoever. You just need to let that nice kosher meat blob just slide right into your mouth and just do not think about it. Also, you need sauerkraut. Sauerkraut's very important. Sauerkraut is very important to a Reuben sandwich. You absolutely need that. Outside of that, maybe some mustard. A little bit of mustard doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Usually goes well.
Yeah. So pastrami can be interchanged, but essential things are like some kind of corned red beef meat, right?
Mm.
We've got a rye bread toasted. We got Swiss cheese. We got kraut, and we got Thousand Island / Russian dressing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this sandwich, I ordered the sandwich on the thing, and it comes to me. It looks fine. It's got a lot of meat on it. The cheese isn't really that melted.
Schmeat.
Is one of the things.
Mm.
Yeah, like, and then you bite into it. On the bottom slice of bread, they're supposed to, they used to have. I always prefer a Reuben where the sauerkraut is actually melted between the cheese and the meat.
So
You know
that's
what I'm
kind of
talking
how
about?
it's supposed to be, because the cheese acts as a bonding agent for the sauerkraut. So when you're working on getting through the meat, you don't have like strands of sauerkraut coming out of the sandwich. But yeah, so
Right.
yeah.
And so, okay, what their construction is here, and I've gotten a Reuben here before, is awesome. Is exactly as you described.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they make their own bread. It's amazing. And they smoke on their own meats. They try to make everything from scratch. They
Homemade schmeat, excellent.
they've got a nice rye, toasted, a little butter, a little oily. It's got a very thin layer of quasi Russian dressing, maybe like 4 pieces of lettuce, maybe not even cabbage, and like vinegar, and then like
It's like
4 or 5
coleslaw.
pieces.
It's like their attempted
Yeah,
coleslaw. Ugh, no, you don't. No.
and like I said, I've had a good Reuben from this place before, and then like 4 or 5 pieces of nice corned beef.
Okay.
I won't fault them on that. And then a couple pieces of Swiss on top. Not melted, but rather like heated up to the point that it began to sweat, you know?
Okay.
And then
All right.
another piece of rye on top.
All right. It's kind of dry.
Okay. Yeah. And then I like take a couple bites. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I go to the kitchen and like, I'm like, okay, describe to me the Reuben. And they say, what you say. And then I show them this. I'm like, so what sandwich is this? They're like, oh, let me get the chef. The chef's like, oh, that's the Reuben. And then I'm like, okay, so where's the coleslaw? Or where's the sauerkraut? Because it looks like coleslaw. They're like, oh, okay. And I'm like, give me some extra sauerkraut. Let's throw some sauerkraut on this. And then you go into the app, or like you're trying to finish paying, and it's like, okay, finish pay, tip amount, 20, 25, 30%. and like you have to click
Christ.
custom amount to get something else. And you're like, where do you fucking get off? Where do you get off on this shit? Um,
It's that gentrified bullshit.
like I
Sorry
would
to
be
say it.
embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to try and run a business the way that I mean, I guess I don't know. But like people are cutting corners left and right. These people who are working are just like tired and don't care anymore. Um like they've gone through the pandemic, they've gone through boomers their whole life. And then like you know, then they come home every day and their money's worth less and they try to buy something. And it's like, what is the fucking point
Yeah.
anymore?
Everybody is just waiting for like it to happen. The happening.
Well, when are we going to get? I think there's a lot of fundamentals that go in to make this economy different than 2008. Uh, for one thing, we have nowhere near built enough houses to keep up with population growth or anything like that. And that's not to say that like these boomers aren't at a certain level moving into apartment buildings and retirement communities and stuff like that. But like a lot of them are just moving into like vacation communities, right? Like I'm sure that's the case in Utah, it's the case in Colorado
There's definitely
where
a
they're
few.
like yeah, they're I mean, they're buying 1 million, $2 million homes in like ski resorts or golf places or fucking beaches and stuff like that. And then like that is I think making up like 90% of our GDP right now is just
Probably.
boomers selling their houses in like what used like former tech hubs that could be like San Francisco and like Boulder, Denver, or like New York or something like that. And like these millennials that get these fake jobs with these tech companies are buying them up because they're like, oh, look, it's a house finally. And then they're moving to some resort community. And then like average people are just trying to do retail or like, you know, service economy jobs are just like this isn't an economy for me. Like
Yeah.
where do I'm participating as a servant and like there's no stakes for me, so why am I participating at this point? The government showed over the last 2 years that they can print all the money they want,
Exactly.
and the money they're paying me right now is worthless, so you know, fuck it, right?
Yep.
um
What's the point?
I did want to see Mises Institute 6/18/2022. Christopher Hansen published The Great Crash of 2022. We are now well past the coronavirus of 2022, and most of the restrictions around the world have been repealed or loosened. The long-term consequences and arbitrary and destructive corona policies are still with us, and we are now, right now, in the middle of the inevitable economic crisis. Uh, Proclaiming the great crash of 22 at this point is not prescient or insightful, as commentators have been predicting this for months. Joe Biden said there's no economist predicting a recession in 2022.
Jim Cramer says it's going to be great.
Jim Cramer, I love Jim Cramer because he's proof that you can do everything wrong about your job. And if you're just confident enough, you can get paid ridiculous amounts of money. Like
He's like a weatherman, except weathermen are actually held to some form of like consequence when they just really fuck it up. But like Jim just fucks it up, and I don't actually know the name of it, but like what is the name of that tracker where it's like it takes whatever he says and like does like bets against it, and it does like ridiculously well.
Oh, I want to know. You should look that up real quick.
It's like the Kramer index.
Yeah, yeah. The real present crisis is monetary inflation. Back in 2020, he has a link to the article. I, along with many others, pointed out the role of inflationary monetary policy in the corona crisis. Now, price inflation is the most apparent consequence. The real damage occurred in the capital structure of the economy. Well, most people are the obvious consequence of the corona inflation was the transfer payments they received from the government. The real action occurred in business sector. Remember, we got $2,000 out of $85,000 per household in government spending,
Hmm.
something like that. Through various schemes, newly created money was channeled to the productive sector via the Fed and the Treasury. This result was the classic business cycle of unsustainable sustainable expansion ending in depression. The immediate effect of inflow of easy money was twofold. It hid the economic distortions that lockdowns and other restrictions created. Since government funds made up for lost revenue and cover higher cost, business maintained production that they really should have shut down or altered in some way. And secondly, the easy money introduced capitalists to new unsound investments because they thought the extra money meant greater capital availability. So yeah, basic Austrian stuff. And so in this other Discord that I left recently because I refused to have a thoroughly unserious person color me as a Nazi to all the people I know and respect,
Really?
actually. Um, he posted this video from it was like MMT cowgirl or something like that, and this is just this girl on TikTok, and bless her that she's pretty because she is dumber than a sack of bricks, and everybody would make fun of her if she wasn't pretty. But she's talking about like, oh, inflation. She's doing this fake dialogue between herself in a cowboy hat and herself not wearing a cowboy hat, and yeah, yeah. And like the person not wearing a cowboy hat is like, but wait, all the prices are going up, and it's because they printed money. The cowboy girl's like, well, inflation could just be all the corporations deciding to raise prices at the same time, and that would get registered on the CPI. It's like, yes, that is correct. I guess. I wonder why they don't do that all the time.
Huh. Good
It, it
lord.
it was earth-shatteringly simple. And here's the thing that MMT people have right, which if people aren't familiar with, you can watch like the Robert Higgs or the Robert Murphy debate on MMT. MMT people are right in that the United States, as the world empire, can fucking manipulate the shit out of its currency before things go really south. But Austrians are right that in Zimbabwe and Venezuela, you can't just print money to become wealthy. America was a wealthy country that could abuse its printing press and export its inflation for a really, really long time. But it turns out when you cut off a third or maybe even a half of the world economy from the United States financial system, all of a sudden you can't export your inflation in the same way, which is what happened with the Ukraine crisis. So, the MMT people were right. Like, we did a great job gaming the system for the last 30 years. Like, in a Machiavellian sense, the Fed and George Bush and Barack Obama and Donald Trump could not have played it better, right? Like, we got guns and butter for 30 plus years after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Um, but you can't do this indefinitely. Like, somebody calls your bluff at some point, just like France did in 1970 uh, with Nixon, and said, "Oh, okay, you're sending people to the moon and fighting a land war in Asia. How's your gold reserves doing, my friend?" And
Got him.
that set up Bretton Woods. So, we're in that next realignment, and as our friend Marcel said, like, you pay now or you pay later with interest, and hopefully we just pay now. Like,
Mm.
the Fed's not going to make the right decision and raise interest rates until we get rid of all this malinvestment and get a deflationary economy, which is what we really deserve. But um,
Well, I have
one
been
can hope.
following stories about like a bunch of retailers having like way too much stock all of a sudden and like having these huge inventory clearances. And I can definitely speak for the fact that like where I work, company wide, and this is a national chain, we have this huge project about tagging certain things for a clearance we're having for like July and August, and it's a couple of hundred pieces like per store. So it's apparently a very serious thing. I guess they like yeah, I guess we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
I I can't see. I mean, if they get tagged for, are they like discounting stuff, like
I think
clearance
so.
levels?
I
Oh,
don't think it's
okay.
like clearance levels, but it's just like a massive markdown of stuff. I think they raised prices on a lot of things like back in like January, February, and it definitely kind of slowed down a little bit, and I think they're starting to feel that now because there've been like little cuts here and there, like nothing serious, but like they've cut back on shipping, they're cutting back on hours a little bit, and it's like all right, it's the slow season, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like we acquired too much stuff. I feel like a lot of businesses ordered a lot of shit, not knowing how stable the supply chain was going to be. So they were like, "Yeah, we need to stock up. We need a bunch of stuff," and things have kind of come back to normal. Like they're not really, but they are kind of. So like all of a sudden you have all this inventory that you weren't thinking you were going to get for a while, and you're like, "Oh shit, I got to pay the bill for this." All right, clearance. So I think that's probably partially what's happening a little bit.
Well, yeah, we got to get past this just-in-time fucking economy, right?
Mm, yeah.
Like this idea that like everything's going to arrive, it's going to sit on the shelf for like 5 minutes, and then somebody's going to pick it up and deliver it to their house. It's incredibly efficient in a sense, but
When it
it is
works.
also when it works. Um, but you can't continuously disrupt supply chains and deliveries and lock down stuff and expect it to just go on like that. And people are going to learn like, okay, we have saved a lot of money by not having warehouses or slowly eliminating warehouses over the last 20 years. Um, but sometimes you want a warehouse of shit
Hmm.
that like I can kind of dull out and stuff. Like, what about De Beers? I mean, you're in the jewelry business. De Beers has warehouses full of fucking diamonds sitting in South Africa, and they dole them out slowly because otherwise, the price of diamonds would collapse.
They
'Cause
last I heard, they were trying to relocate a lot of their storage out of South Africa.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I
And
wonder too, but I don't actually know where they want to go. But continue.
then it's just like getting to the point. You look at the Ukraine war, where uh, I don't think people register in this situation that all of like the surplus hardware that like Britain has is basically gone now. It's in
Yeah.
Ukraine. It's either been destroyed or captured on the front lines. Like I'm pretty sure like if you like there's the gear sitting in the hands of the British, like the Royal Army and Air Force and stuff like that. They probably have enough ammo to fight for a few months.
Mm.
But like you could fly a significant number of planes over Britain. They'd shoot the first wave down and they would be out of ammo. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure at this point. Like the Stinger missiles, people have been tracking this. You can watch on YouTube. You look at the dates on like the missile javelins and stuff too. Look at the dates. It's like 1982. Like they're getting rid of the oldest stuff to the newest
Of
stuff.
course, yeah.
1982, 84, 86, 89, 93. And then you're like getting into, well, wait a minute. Like they were in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021. So there's not really a lot of gear from that period.
Yeah.
Like all the warehouse gear was from like 1980 to 2000, basically. And so like Western Europe does not have like stockpiles of National Guard arms at this point. Whereas like if you people have also been tracking on the Russian side, and I know you hate talking about the Ukraine war stuff, but like this ties into economy, is that you look at units and their unit markings and stuff like that. They've mobilized 2 out of 20 something military districts into the Ukraine invasion. They are fighting a 1-to-1 manpower war against the Ukrainians right now. And essentially, the economy in most of Russia is completely normal in a sense. There's no draft. There's no like lockdowns. I mean, McDonald's shut down and the local franchisees opened up.
Oh, no Starbucks, no
Mikovitches.
Pornhub.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
So I think we're looking at like we've completely gotten rid of this. Even the warehouses of stuff we did have, like the stuff we do make in America, fucking Texas Instruments. By the way, the same people who mandate you. Talk about government whores. Ever notice this shit? Texas Instruments mandates all the standardized tests you have to. The best calculator you can use is their calculator. So everybody buys their $150 calculator. You can't even. It's weaker than a fucking Game Boy from Nintendo in 1993.
You can at least play Block Dude on one, but that's about the most complicated thing you're going to be able to do with that.
A fucking Game Boy from 1992 is more powerful than the fucking expensive Texas Instruments calculator that they make you buy for all your high school, college tests and shit like that. Texas Instruments also is making all of the missiles and the guidance packages for every Javelin and Stinger missile. Do you know that? They get $75,000 a unit.
Damn.
Every time they fire.
Oh my God.
Every time they fire one of those things, $75,000. You know what somebody could make? A fucking Raspberry Pi unit with an IR detector for literally under $1,000.
I'm sure they will. I mean, you can 3D print the rocket tubes now and the firing mechanisms. So with a little Raspberry Pi guidance system.
Rockets are stupid simple. By the way, you don't need an FAA license for rockets under. I gotta look this up.
You just don't need an FAA license. Period. Like fuck that shit. You launch what you want wherever you want. God owns the sky. Does God grant licenses? No, it's free.
Okay. You can't launch a rocket as though it might, if it's going to create a collision or hazard with the aircraft. So, no controlled airspace or 5 miles within an airport. Any altitude where clouds or obscuring phenomena, 5/10 coverage prevail, into a cloud, or at any altitude where the horizontal visibility is less than 5 miles, or within 1,500 feet of an operation or of a person or property not associated with the operation, or at night. Literally, that's
what I'm just hearing
their
is
regulation on rockets.
But what I'm hearing is
maintain a maximum altitude of 400 feet above ground level. Wait. Oh, that's unmanned aircraft. Okay.
Oh, okay. So just do what you want, basically. Like, forget what the FAA says. Launch rockets at any time, in any capacity, to any altitude, in any location. Yeah. Just do it.
Yeah. Now, the payload matters, right? Like,
of course, yes.
Can't explode when it comes in contact with something. But you can build a rocket of basically any size you want. That's always been fine. Like the rocket launcher part has never been like the technical challenge of this stuff. But the Ordnance Lab video that you're talking about, which is legal content on youtube.com, which we are also. Did you watch it?
No, but I saw a little bit of it on their Instagram.
Okay. The technical part is when it comes to the rocket payloads. that is the difficult thing. Launching a rocket, I mean, fireworks have existed for 1,500 years. And, like, the fucking Taliban has figured this shit out. What's fun about 3D printed rocket launchers is getting the payloads correct and making something that can actually damage armor. So, I love their videos so much. Do not make this explosive. Ammonium nitrate explosives. Explosive versus cheers. Shields. Tremor pipe bomb. 3D printed rocket launchers. How to set off explosives. I love so much.
I
They're
love
so
those
beautiful. So, and I do rocket shit all the time. Love messing with rockets. Everybody should get into some hobby rockets. Get some Estes rockets. Send that shit up to the fucking stratosphere. It is so fun.
It is.
And it will teach you a lot about ballistics and, sending things a long distance and everything like that. It's very
Exactly.
interesting and scientific for learning.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Anyways.
My girlfriend specifically made a request about me not saying anything online that would get me swatted or
Okay.
anything like that. And I will just say that part of my job is teaching children how to use rockets. So,
Okay. So you are training your students to be the Hitler Jugend, basically. How to destroy tanks in the streets of Berlin.
I aim for the moon, and if I happen to hit London, it's just an accident.
In Minecraft. Oh.
I was I was gonna say Washington D.C.
Nope, hold on. Let's backtrack that.
I'm sorry.
The Washington D.C. Minecraft server. That's what we're gonna hit.
Oh man, Trevor Moore, rest his soul, who was obviously assassinated by the CIA for knowing
course.
way too much.
Of course.
I love that skit where he's it's illegal to say I want to kill the president of the United States. You remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Love that one. All right. So we talked about the economy. We talked about 3D printed rocket launchers. What else? Did I bring up in the chat? Because there are a few things.
Oh, SCOTUS is about to make it so that guns have more rights than vaginas, which is based. Very based, because that should be how it is.
Right. I mean, fucking 19th Amendment and shit went downhill, right?
Where, we need to ban women from airplanes. We need to ban women from schools. We need to make it so that if you want to have a woman, you need a permit. And if you want to walk around outside with a woman, you need a special kind of license and training.
Speaking of SCOTUS and rights and the political climate right now, had you seen the Eric Greeton's Navy SEAL for Senate video?
Oh,
And
God, yes. Oh, my fucking God. Rhino hunting? Fucking amazing. Like I said,
I want to know who's on his legal team. Because a big serious campaign has a lawyer that says, oh yeah,
this is cool.
They have you can accept this donation and you keep and rephrase that in that speech because you might be saying something weird. I mean that's one of the things when you're running for Senate of the United States.
Yeah.
People are sending you millions of dollars. And the fucking FCC is breathing down your neck the entire time. So, either they don't have a legal team and they're just fuck it,
or their legal team is very high,
or their legal team was just yeah, go for it.
Oh my God! Well, again, like I said,
think of a way.
Hold on, any rhetoric that normalizes or furthers the idea that it is okay to be violent towards politicians is perfectly okay with me. So I just want to get that out there. I fully endorse this endorsement.
I fully endorse this as well. I was just saying, I'm so glad that this got past whatever filters that it did, and
Mm-hmm.
finally Facebook removed it, which is a shame. I posted it like in a sense of like news. I posted it on it like some like news channel reposted it,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like tons of people in the comments. Uh, Somebody's like, "So this is what politicians do now." Let me
Mm-hmm.
just read these fucking normies reacting to this. I love this. Um, all right. I'm trying to find a good one. Oh, I guess we know what his ex-wife is going to use against him in their child custody case.
Uh, that's okay because the judge voted for him, so he'll ruin his favor anyway. He'll be like, "Yeah, fuck them rhinos. Yeah, you get full custody, boy. You woman, you shut the hell up." So that's how the legal system
Um,
works.
how can true lovers of liberty stomach this? A violent home invasion by agents of the state gets applause. What side are you on?
Well, just pretend they're there to take away guns, and then all of a sudden it's necessary, but it's also part and parcel of living in a civilized society. So if it's for that, that's okay. But if it's a politician on the other side,
They are not wearing any law enforcement insignia.
no, they're not. You could shoot each and every one of them in the face and get off with it because they do not have anything suggesting they are law enforcement.
They're wearing a C-34 patch, and I wonder what that. They got American flag patches and C-34.
34th district. Oh, excuse me. Is
I'm
that his
looking it up right
district
now.
number?
No, it's for the Senate.
Oh,
They don't.
just
Those aren't
kidding.
numbered. It's just two. It's just an explorer apprentice rank in the Navy. So it's a call back to the Navy is what it is.
Oh, okay, so it's gay.
Yeah, they got American flag patches. The letter C-34. Absolutely no insignia behind it. Nothing that says police, SWAT, anything like that.
Slot him.
This is a right-wing death squad that they were warning you about.
Oh, finally, yes, we're in the right wing death squad time. Yes, finally. Oh, we need some left wing ones and some right wing ones, and oh, this will be great. We'll just play ultra violence over everything. It'll be fantastic.
I kind of love they didn't even think to be like, well, okay, no, they had the forethought like, oh, should we have all our Navy SEAL patches on? And there's like one guy with one of them on, just like this one reference. There's American flags. Other
Mm-hmm.
than that, like, no, we can't implicate the Navy SEALs in this. They thought about the other side of it because those guys. That's real gear. Like they have, like every dude like you and I has patches on their gear.
Mm-hmm.
Like my patches would be like MSF or something like that.
So
Or
what
like
I'm actually thinking is, how a lot of times, well, not a lot of times, I don't actually know how much this happened, but during the Roman Empire, the Praetorian Guard would kind of pick the emperor they liked, and if they didn't like the emperor, he would wind up dead for whatever reason. That's I wouldn't mind seeing that, just in the final stages, just death squads, just killing politicians. Be okay with that.
honestly, okay. I think about. I mean, that's how it's been since Kennedy, though, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, well, before Kennedy, because Kennedy's head just did that, so it's arguable whether or not he was actually the subject of political violence. But Abe Lincoln, uh, Reagan, uh, I'm sure other politicians. Yes.
I mean, the CIA has, picked or like groomed every single serious candidate since the CIA's existed, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they are the Praetorian Guard. It's not going to be the Navy SEALs. Honestly, it would be a better system if the Navy SEALs were the ones picking
Mm-hmm.
the presidential candidates than just the CIA. Because what do we end up with the CIA? We get fucking like Pete Buttigieg versus, Jeb Bush is
Ugh.
what they would prefer.
Word.
Um, I kind of wonder, uh, yeah, what the end game, where this is leading to on it- it's the MAGA invocation. I think is really people are hung up on that, like the MAGA versus Rhino thing. When I don't think Donald, this is Michael Mouse's quote that they think that Donald Trump was or yeah, Donald Trump was the river when really he was the dam.
Mm-hmm.
Like now that Trump's out of the picture, there's no there's not going to be a regulation on right-wing populist stuff anymore. Right? There's people are going to come out and people are on board with this right-wing populist movement, and there's going to be a lot of feelings in different directions. The Texas GOP put it in their platform that the 2020 election was illegitimate.
The state of Texas is also going to be holding a referendum in 2023 about secession again.
Wait, again or
I think it's 2023, but yeah, they were announced that I'm going to look this up just so I can get this correct. Texas secession 2023.
I'm curious because
Oh
I
yeah.
saw that trending. I saw that trending on Twitter.
So okay, so it's not set in stone, but Texas Republicans are pushing for a referendum in 2023 to decide whether or not the state of Texas should secede from the U.S. And I hope it passes. Sincerely, I hope it passes. I hope Texas secedes because that would be
I
based.
I want I want California to secede. I want
Mm-hmm.
Cascadia, Washington, Oregon to secede.
Mm-hmm.
I want New Hampshire to secede. I
I
want
want
New
the
York to
Sierra. I want
secede.
the Rocky Sierra Nevada alliance, just like Nevada,
Uh,
Arizona, Colorado, Utah, maybe New
Wyoming.
Mexico, Wyoming, of course.
Yeah, people. I mean, Wyoming's like desolate, right?
Yeah,
But
but Wyoming's
I mean,
beautiful,
it's all mountains. It's just like New Mexico or
mm-hmm.
Colorado or whatever.
But better.
Yeah, I have been thinking about starting the Swiss party.
Mm-hmm.
So our platform is to secede from the United States of America and join the Confederacy of Swiss cantons
Hmm.
for all of the mountainous states. So yeah, Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana.
I like
That
this.
we, in our own rights, can become a neutral, sovereign, landlocked country and have vast stores of gold reserves and, control the financial sector for all of America.
All right,
Unlike,
which we're
New
defending
York
with our mountain
is New
fortresses.
Amsterdam as compared to Geneva, right? Where like I
Mm-hmm.
think Denver would be the Geneva in this case. And if you wanted to invade us, we would have, you know, 15 to 20 million people with AR-15s hiding in 14,000-foot tall mountains. Um, remember, Afghanistan was a pajama wearing sheep fuckers. No offense to the Taliban, who are very based, but the remember, Max, you got to say things that won't get the FBI to raid your house at
Fuck it.
2 a.m.
At this point, like just
But no, like the Mountain Confederation, we would be highly skilled, highly patriotic people who are always on the ready to defend our place where you go skiing, and we're happy to accept all of your money from you Californian and New York tourists and Florida tourists who,
however,
uh, yeah,
At the end of the skiing trip, you have to leave. You don't get to own property. You don't even get to vote. You just gotta go. You can stay for a while, but you're a renter, and like you're only allowed to rent certain places. Like, oh, you're in the ski resort and you're renting a room. Okay, that's fine. Oh, you want to rent this house? Nope, fuck you. Absolutely not.
Well, you know how the Swiss immigration system works?
I do not.
So you actually have to get sponsored.
Hmm.
And so you can move there. You can get a green card. You can work. It's pretty easy to like live there and be a resident. But to be a citizen, you actually have to petition the town that you live in
Hmm.
and ask for that. Like it will be put to a vote. The town will vote on whether you can become a citizen.
Interesting.
Like it's a popular vote among the people in the town. And so like there's a famous case of this Dutch woman who is a vegan.
Who was like an insufferable leftist vegan in the town. Who was like,
Yeah, insufferable
no,
leftist vegan.
get the fuck out of
And
here.
and they fucking denied her citizenship because she kept harassing everybody's cows and they're like, "We're Swiss. We got fucking cows all over the place. We eat their cheese and we eat them. Fuck
That's
you."
okay. She can go be a vegan in Berlin.
Yeah. So, like, I
Oh
think
my God.
there's a lot of places in America that are very Weimar right now, and we could have an opposite of Anschluss, would be amazing. Again, FBI, don't raid my house because you know I'm a peaceful person.
FBI,
All
please
I
no.
want,
Please no van.
me and our 30 listeners. We have 2 live listeners right now. Our 30 net listeners, including 10 FBI agents who get assigned to this, instead of, actually investigating cops with SS insignia on their office for years. You hear about that one?
No, but
Oh, this DC
doesn't surprise
police
me.
lieutenant.
Oh, of course it's in fucking
How,
DC.
yeah. Had a fucking SS, like SS emblem, not like the SS, but like one of the unit logos that
Was
you
it
can't
like a Totenkopf
tell
or
with
what
the
was
Nazi
it?
tag. No, it was the oh, it's here. I want to find it.
I don't know Nazi SS battalion insignias off the top of my head. I know the Totenkopf, and that's it.
Um,
I think there's like a scythe or hook or something. Kind of gay. There's a butt plug. Double-sided dildo.
oh, yeah. So it's the 3. It's like the Edelweiss flower or
Oh,
leaf with
okay.
2 diamonds underneath it.
Oh, that one. All right, gay.
Yeah.
What do you need the flowers for, SS boys? So you can give it to other men, so you can kiss them? Gay.
And so here's the here is the kicker. Officer who displayed Nazi insignia will receive $1.5 million to resign. Derek
Wow.
Camazel, an assistant police chief in Kent, Washington, was investigated and disciplined after he taped the insignia of an SS officer to his office door in September 2020. The city of Kent, Washington will pay more than 1.5. Oh, so it's Washington State. Sorry. Will
Wow.
pay 1.5 million to the assistant police chief to resign.
Fucking cops.
He's the oak leaves and diamonds signifying the rank of Obergruppenführer, a high-ranking SS officer. Remember, this is insignia that was only used for the SS. Like
Yeah.
a normal Wehrmacht officer's rank
Is
like a
completely different.
standard. Yeah. Okay. So
Jesus Christ.
they're paying him to retire. They're
Atrocious.
paying a $1.5
Absolutely
million
atrocious.
to retire.
Well,
instead of keeping on the force. 'Cause
just
they can't.
goes to show. Just get a public sector job and you can just do whatever the fuck you want. You can fuck kids. You can put Nazi insignias on your office. You can fucking steal. There's the sky's the limit, dude. You can just do whatever the fuck you want.
So, anyways, I'm begging the FBI to understand that I'm a peaceful person,
This is a
and
podcast of peace. We are podcasters of peace. We are also both
I
honorarily Jewish. Max is honorarily Jewish, so he is immune from being swatted.
right.
Right. That's how
Yeah.
that works.
No, yeah. Grandma, uh, Grandma gives me protection on that side.
Of
Okay.
course, yeah.
So, anyways, we were, just casually discussing that, you know, we want to have a nice divorce, go our separate
Peaceful
ways. California
divorce.
can have all the health care that they want provided by the government. They can all the people on the streets that they want, or not living in shelters, but getting pop-up homes that cost $500,000 each that instantly get torched. Um, and Texas can have their police departments that stand in the hallway for an hour while kids bleed to death, even though they have ballistic shields. Did you see this too?
Yeah, ballistic shields and fucking AR-15s and everything ready to fucking
And
go, and they just stood in the fucking hallway for like half an hour at least and just let these kids
no,
die.
it's 58 minutes.
58 minutes. They just stood there. They didn't even try the door. That's fantastic.
And then uh, Colorado can have all its weed, and
Utah can have as many wives as it wants.
Utah has as many wives as it wants. In Wyoming, no one will bother you for trying to
Yeah.
help that goat over a fence. Okay,
Exactly.
let's just live and let live. Montana, you can build as many Apache attack helicopters out of demilitarized parts as you want.
You can own as many demilitarized missile silos as your heart desires.
What are you going to do in Idaho? You can have your,
White supremacist
you know,
compound.
white
All you
supremacist
like.
compound out in the mountains. Speaking of which, how it was funny. I had this acquaintance post like, "Oh, look, Patriot Front, this totally real white supremacist group is assembling. They're going to take over this Idaho town. They were ready to riot, and they all got peacefully zip tied while kneeling."
And none of them
by
got
like
searched, and they
5
were allowed
police
to keep on their
officers.
fucking backpacks and shit, and they're all fucking kneeling in an easily recoverable position from which they can get up and run by five
And then
very overweight cops who just did not give a fuck and were very calm.
and then he posts like a police chief getting death threats in Idaho, and I'm like, oh,
Oh,
won't somebody think of the cops
oh, the poor cops
having to deal with criticism from the public? I bet it wasn't
Oh.
even real death threats. You know, that's the thing.
Of course not. Nothing's real.
Like somebody will say like, oh, like what if it was your kid that was trapped in that classroom, and the cops would go into the classroom with their kids in it, which
Of
is what they
course.
were doing for the hour while they were waiting in the hallway, was having their kids evacuated. Well, 19 children bled out. But they'll take that as a death threat because it's treason in the like monarch sense, like the old medieval law sense of treason. It is treason to imagine the death of the king or to speak of the death of the king.
It's treason then. Ah.
Right? Like that's the like you can't even talk about like the king's alive, long live the king. That's all you can say. Right? You can't say
Make
like
sedition great
it-
again.
well, right, so like the warrior class in this country, the privileged janissaries, we should make them like the janissaries of old and maybe make them into eunuchs
That
or
would be a good idea.
something.
You could take their eye, and we could turn them into Dan Crenshaws, and we could take their eye.
Right. Like what warrior class has ever been so privileged to not even be obliged to fight on behalf of the tax chattel that they have sworn to defend? So we're getting close to an hour. Any final thoughts? I thought I had one more thing I wanted to
I kind of mentioned the SCOTUS thing, but like I suppose that could wait until they
we'll see
actually make a
tomorrow.
decision. Yeah.
Let,
Or it could
let's
just
make
be
a
another
prediction.
fucking day of no decision. Like, they've definitely been
It's
dragging
the
this out.
latest that they've ever gone
Oh,
on
really?
this stuff.
Then
Yeah,
yeah,
normally
it's either.
they do everything by like the 15th or 16th. So
So, I
they
mean, oh, it's after Juneteenth, too, so you know what? I think they'll do it now.
yeah, yeah, on the heels of Juneteenth. I think we're gonna see um May issue carry going to be struck down in all
I
50
am so
states.
excited. Whores are going to get
Um,
blown the fuck out. Constitutional carry in all 50 states.
that's
Oh,
not going to happen. But
no, it's not going to happen. But,
I also see that the judges could it'll still piss off the gun groups, um, but they will probably keep like this sensitive areas argument thing going, where they're
yeah.
like, schools, courthouses, um, and like public transportation stuff. Like they'll have some argument about the subways in New York City or something like that. Um, but
Which
I
is
think
like the one place where you would definitely need a gun. Like, if you're going to
right.
carry a gun anywhere in New York City, the subway is like top two. And both of the answers in the
I
top two are the subway.
I am I every single video. This is going to be used in a red flag court hearing against me.
That's fine.
Every single video that I watch out of New York City results in me saying to myself, wow, I'm glad I don't live there because I
Word.
carry a gun on me all the time and I wouldn't be able to deal
Yeah.
with that level of New York City is full of people who act the way they do because nobody's going to shoot them at any given moment.
You're just in New York City. It's what you do. Like, it's. You become
Like
part of it.
bring back the 70s
For
in New
real.
York City.
All that easy
Taxi
fucking
driving.
crack cocaine, easy to get guns. That's what we need.
We talked a little bit about Ukraine
Yeah.
as an aside, but whatever.
Well,
What else is good?
this
The
is like.
economy we talked about. Oh, we didn't
This,
talk about that mayor got fucking sucker punched in the face. Did you watch that?
no, I didn't actually see that one.
Oh, I posted in the chat, and I'll post it in our
Hold on.
group thread. But
Ooh.
let me post it right now. Man casually walks up and sucker punches Louisville's mayor.
Oh, shit. That was a hefty sucker punch.
Yeah, right.
Wow. He went down like a bowling pin. Holy shit.
So,
Oh, good for him.
I don't know about political affiliation between any of them, but it's still hilarious.
It's a black dude too.
This
So,
is not an endorsement of punching your local mayor in the face.
however, you got to do what you
It'd
got to
be
do.
it is pretty funny though that
It's
somebody
hilarious.
punched their mayor in the face.
That's great. We are not saying all mayors in the United States should be punched in the face, but if that were to happen, it is what it is.
Just like it'd be really funny if dear Chairman Xi Jinping sent J-20 stealth fighters to destroy
The rat of
Congress
Scranton.
during the State of the Union. That'd be hilarious.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if China and Russia launched a joint invasion on the United States by disabling our satellite network, and then they invaded every burger town across the U.S. and just cut off our food supply?
I got my girlfriend to start playing Modern Warfare 2,
Oh my god.
and what I'm always telling her throughout the missions is like, remember, you're the good guys.
How'd she
As
do in
they're
the
like
airport mission?
torturing a dude, you're going into the airport.
Did she skip? What did she do in the airport mission? Did she do it?
Oh, she hasn't got there yet.
Oh, she
But
hasn't gotten there yet.
I got to get her playing it again. But
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Anyways, all right. So, any closing thoughts on? Uh, I love that's my favorite joke. When I'm ever in the grocery store and they're out of something, I'm like, "Dear Xi Jinping, I am starving American child under oppressive regime of Joe Biden. Please send J-20 stealth fighter mission to liberate my nation.
To restore my salt and vinegar chip supply.
Restore my Boulder salt and vinegar chip supply."
Or my toilet paper supply. So what I was going to say too, I have one closing thought. Since we're doing a Monday episode before most days of the week when the Supreme Court might actually release a decision, this is the week they're going to release some decisions just because of that.
Oh yeah. Any other predictions? We talked about the abortion one. I think they're going to kick it back to the states.
They're definitely
gonna
kicking
punt.
back to the States. May issue's going to get struck down. And they're going to leave some Weasley, like, gun rights are not absolute, like, sort of fucking argument. And it's like, okay, well, you keep creating this burden of proof for yourself that you need to demonstrate. So you better, like, get ready for more cases to get kicked up to you to make you demonstrate that. Because so far, well, it seemed to work out.
Do you think the it could have an implication for like AWBs and like magazine bans?
I don't know. I think they're gonna make it like specific to handguns on purpose, but like I also don't see an AWB or a mag limit passing federally. I just don't see it happening because even right now with the demographic they have in Congress, like they can't get anything to pass. Like there are a couple of bills
Well,
in the House that are gonna die in the Senate, and there's a bill in the Senate, and they're like, "Oh, House Republicans," and they did, but like
well,
I was gonna say they still have to send their bill to the House, and they always do this. They always send like reconciliatory bills, and like they go both ways, and both party votes them down because the Democrats say that your Republicans are too lenient, and the Republicans say the Democrats are too stringent. So nothing happens, and they kick it, and then there's the election, and then it gets dropped.
yeah. Well, I meant up from the SCOTUS. People on the gun right control side are scared that the SCOTUS decision will strike down mag limits at the very least
Oh, I hope so.
because the or at least 10 round mag limits or 15 round mag limits, because the argument will be is that I think average citizens should have the same capacity that officers have
And the
for
military.
dealing with threats. And the military, yeah. So they'll say, I think they'll look at it and we'll get shall issue, and we may get a strike down of magazine limits for
That would be nice.
or I think like the 7. What is New York now? Because they just passed a new law, right?
So
Like,
they passed one that said 7, but like it was struck down as arbitrary and capricious. So right now it's a 10. Also,
okay,
I'm
and
sorry.
it's been 10 since the 90s.
You guys really
getting
can't
tacos?
see, but there is an absolutely beautiful sunset right now. This guy is pink and shit, but my shitty camera won't show it. Wait, what if I do this?
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we will reconvene to discuss how liberals, Gabby Giffords, will get blown the fuck out.
Again.
Not that way.
Of course not. No, of
Where-
course, no. But
The way her husband blows her out.
exactly, yeah. Like, by making her watch him fuck another woman while she sits in the corner and goes,
I'm going to hell. You're definitely going to hell for that one. No, I think we're gonna watch gun control get blown the fuck out,
again.
and thoughts are gonna get patrolled,
Mm-hmm.
and I look forward to next week when we can discuss the implications of all that, or just celebrate and cry, because they'll probably fuck something up. Like you said,
Probably.
they always write some little caveat in it.
Yeah. Exactly. There's always something there. And also, as a final statement, JC, yes, I am the guy, the meme of the guy inside on a sunny day where girls are outside playing volleyball.
Oh, what? Yeah.
It's okay. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go menace them. I'm gonna drive around at sunset and have a good time. But
Go get some tacos.
that sounds like a good idea, actually.
Yeah, get
No,
some tacos.
tomorrow.
Drive
Tomorrow
around
I'll
at
get
sunset.
tacos.
Oh, okay.
Taco Tuesday. I'll
Get some
just.
tequila.
There you
Just
go.
tell
Drink and
them that
drive.
you're Nancy Pelosi's husband.
Yeah,
Get
that'll
some
work.
government plates. Just drive wherever you want to
No,
drive.
I just tell them I'm Jewish and I get off with it. It's fine.
However you want to drive. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
I want to run for city council with the explicit purpose of on the campaign of like I want a booze cruise. Like
exactly.
every
Yeah.
because every single like member of our city council has gotten convicted of DUI, and I'm just like I want to
Yes.
run that campaign and just be like, hey, look, I'm just here to booze cruise. The cops are gonna let me off if I run for city if I'm a council person. That's all I'm here for.
I want to make the legal
Nobody
limit
pays attention to this
0.15. Point two. Point two is the legal limit. If you're under point two, you can drive.
Hey, look, it's 0.15 in the school zones.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Otherwise, yeah. Alrighty.
So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, remember, drink and drive. It is your right to do so, and it is based and cool, and you should do it at every available opportunity. And if you ever get pulled over by a cop, just remember, they're usually only wearing level 3 vests. And with that, have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Oh god, we're getting swatted. We are so getting swatted!